Why did we love Oddworld Abe's Oddysee? The dark, foreboding tone? The punishing difficulty? The believable and frighteningly familiar world? Let's find out.
Follow me. This is Rupture Farms. I used to work here. Well, I was really a slave, like all the others. That's me. My name is Abe. I thought I had a good job, but that was before I knew how we'd make new and tasty. This new kind of meat? It was us!
Oddworld Abe's Oddysee is a game that many today would describe as a masterpiece. Its numerous accolades and accomplishments are proof enough of this. But this video isn't about all the things Oddworld did well. No, this video is about what made this game so memorable, and why people love it so much and hold it in such high esteem. Many video games throughout the short history of the medium can also quite rightly be described as masterpieces, but very few hold as much reverence as Oddworld, and fewer still have had as much impact on the art form. Oddworld was almost single-handedly responsible for the ignition of a deep love for video games for many people, myself included. But why? Why is this game so memorable, even all these years later? Released in 1997, Oddworld came out during the relative infancy of home video gaming, and it smashed all expected sales targets, selling over 1 million copies in under a year, a frankly astronomical number for the time. The game's high difficulty was criticised by some gaming journalists, commenting that it became frustrating and presented an unnecessary barrier to entry. This feature, though, was by design. When the game opens, you're invited to view a world that seems alien, with technology both ahead of and behind our own. A world that is racked with pollution and desolation, and it draws you in. It makes you ask, how did this happen? What made the world this way? And as the cinematic plays, you're introduced to Rupture Farms, a corrupt organisation that will do anything to increase profits. From hunting sacred animals to extinction, to turning their workers into literal meat for the grinder. Then we meet the lovable Abe, a guy with a dead-end job at this massive corporation, and as he explains himself and his life to you through rhyming couplets, a horrifying realization dawns on you. This is our world. Or rather, it could be. Gameplay starts, and you're met with the very definition of a hostile work environment. People are thrown into literal meat grinders, and armed guards bully, kill, and maim on a whim. The next thing you notice is that this is the first level, and you've already died 12 times. Oddworld is unrelenting and punishingly difficult. Every jump, if not timed correctly, could see you fall into a group of mines. Every guard, if they turn at the wrong time, could shoot you dead in seconds flat. Every death, though, resets the board. Guards return to pre-established positions and move in the same patterns, traps reset, and you're instantly given the chance to try again. This motif persists throughout the game. No matter how insurmountable or impossible the challenge seems, if you keep trying and learning from your mistakes, you will eventually succeed. And you feel this from the very first moment you can control the titular hero. The high-pitched screech of industrial machinery can be heard in the background. Slave workers scrub the grimy metallic floors of blood, and there is an overall oppressive and malicious atmosphere. All these things work together to draw you in and compel you to begin your journey to save Abe's people. The theme and art direction in Oddworld is impeccable and timeless. It has been said countless times before, but it bears repeating. Art direction is more important than graphical fidelity. Graphics age and become dated, but theme and great art will stand the test of time. And that's what we have with Oddworld. I played the new and tasty remaster for this video, but even in the original, the artwork, sprites, backgrounds and theme hold a spot at the top alongside modern iterations of retro and pixel art. Oddworld's art and theming goes a long way in establishing the feel and energy of each particular environment. The greys and browns of the Rutcher Farms meat factory, its backgrounds a mess of conveyor belts and brutalist machinery, the cameras and alarm systems hanging everywhere. It all contributes to a feeling of total oppression. The level design in this area is condensed in small screens, and it makes the world feel claustrophobic and restrictive. This is juxtaposed by the greens of the lush Paramonian forests. The wide screens and wooden tribal structures all represent an area of the world untouched by the pollution and corruption of Rupture Farms. For now, this area shows a world that could be, a world of life and nature, and it's obvious Abe is more at home here. His people building temples to sacred creatures that are designed to exist alongside the natural beauty. Each area in this game is designed and built to evoke a specific feeling, and to make the most memorable world possible using only 2D artwork and backgrounds. We cannot talk about artwork without also talking about the music in the very same breath. As with the visual art, each zone in this game has music specific to it, and to evoke specific emotions. The thrumming, heavy bass sounds and stuttering drum beats of Rupture Farms mimics the sound of heavy industrial equipment, and as they build in intensity, the player feels a sense of urgency to escape this place. You begin to rush. You start to make mistakes. It all adds to the intense feeling of being unwelcome and in danger. This is counterbalanced by the slow, rhythmic, hide-skinned drums and animal sounds of Paramonia. The music here feeling more natural and ambient. It doesn't make you feel any more welcome, but it hints to a whole ecosystem taking place around you, with the tribal drums playing harmoniously with the natural sounds of the forest, bringing a sense of oneness. At first glance, there is nothing special about Oddworld's gameplay. It seems to be a generic side-scrolling platformer with some difficult jumps that need to be timed just right, and some puzzle solving. Abe can be finicky and irritating to control at times, his movements seeming too fast at some parts of the game and too slow at others. Sometimes he jumps a little too short or rolls a little too far. Sometimes he runs when you are sure you're holding the sneak button, prompting your Slate to wake up and shoot you, and most likely prompting you to blurt out a string of unsavory expletives. This can be frustrating, but as long as you continue in the knowledge that this challenge is possible to overcome, you will eventually succeed. Abe's movement, however, is not the only tool he has to interact with his world. His now legendary chanting mechanic, which I personally and affectionately refer to as the Nunu, is Abe's primary way of defeating his enemies and progressing through puzzles. The context-based nature of the chant means that it won't always do what you want it to, and you may have to reposition yourself to create the desired effect or rethink your strategy on completing whatever challenge is in front of you. The third and final of Abe's major mechanics is the chat function.
Everyone, hello. Follow me. Okay.
Abe can talk to and direct other Maduckans during gameplay, telling them to follow you or wait in specific places. This mechanic has little gameplay benefit, and actually serves to increase the difficulty, with Abe's primary goal being to rescue his people from Rupture Farms. This mechanic adds the extra challenge of safely guiding your fellow slaves around the obstacles you must also traverse to finally open a portal and setting them free. All of Abe's mechanics recontextualize his place in this world. He doesn't move like the other Maduckans, being able to jump long distances, cling to ledges and pull himself up. He's the only Maduckan we know of who can chant, an ability he doesn't even have to learn but somehow just knows when the game starts. And for whatever reason, the other Maduckans seem to listen to Abe and do as he says for no discernible reason. All of these things seem to place Abe apart from his people, a mystery we as the player are compelled to try to solve. As previously mentioned, Oddworld is a hard game. It can be frustrating, and at times you'll feel like pulling your hair out at what oftentimes feel like arbitrary failures. But all of this stress and frustration has a purpose. Oddworld is a hostile world. It is trying to kill you. It is trying to stop you reaching your goal. And for those who persist, it will eventually fail. I think this exact feature is one of the main driving forces of one of the game's major themes: persistence. Despite Rupture Farms, nature persists. Despite slavery and oppression, the hope of the Maduckans persists. Despite an uncertain future and a dangerous world, Abe persists. And despite 1,000 failures, you persist. I believe the reason Oddworld has wormed its way into the hearts of new and old fans alike is its biting commentary on the world in which we live, but also at its almost childlike optimism that difficult struggles, whether global or personal, can be overcome with persistence and willpower. You cannot beat Oddworld without first letting it break you down, so that you may use those lessons learned to build yourself back up stronger. We love this game because it reminds us that no matter how hard the struggle, no matter how insurmountable the challenge, if we are stubborn and if we persist, the odds are always in our favor. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.